Hello, Leg over here, and we're back today on F1 2020. And today we're going to be doing another track guide. This time we're here at Silverstone in Britain. As always, we're going to be doing one lap at full speed, one lap in detail, and then I'll walk you through the setup. That was the lap then. As you can see, it's a 1 minute 24.3, which is my new PB, so I'm pretty happy with that. But now we're going to go into a bit more detail. And we're already starting off even before the lap starts, because you do need to set up for the lap. It's very important on a hot lap or a qualifying lap, not so much in the race. But heading through the chicane, you want to stay as far to the left side of the track as possible, as you can see here. And you're doing this because it will open up your entry so much for the exit, so you can have a much smoother line on throttle and just carry a lot more speed onto the straight here. As we start our lap now, we're going to head into turn 1. It's easy flat. Turn-in point is just before the 50-meter board. Use all of the curb on the inside to help minimize the amount of speed you lose through these first 2 corners, and then into turn 3, braking just as the curb starts and reaching 100% brake pressure. Trail brake into the apex and focus on setting yourself up for turn 4. Try and get as far to the right as possible before taking a late apex through turn 4, short shifting into 3rd, focusing on your exit out of turn 4 and through turn 5 before activating the DRS and heading down the Wellington straight. Into this sequence of corners, starting on the curb, turn-in point is just before the 50-meter board, and you start braking just after it. 100% brake pressure for a split second. Naturally, you go wide through the first part of the corner, and then through here, the entry is always going to be tighter, so run wide mid-corner to set yourself up for the exit using both the line and the short shifting. Use the outside curve on the exit and stay to the right side of the track through Woodcut. Into Copse, use all of the curb on entry. The turn-in point is that 50-meter board. Use the curbs to your advantage to minimize the amount of speed that you lose through there, since it is easy flat. Into the S's, use the curb through Magus. Into Beckett's, slight braking just before that white line on the track. Use all of the curb through Beckett's to set yourself up for Chapel. We run slightly wide, but it's okay for the most part. Activate the DRS and stay to the left side of the track. Do not run all the way to the right, or else you lose a lot of time. Down the hanger straight now and into Stowe. Very fast corner. Turn-in point is as that curb on the left starts, and then brake just before that 50-meter board goes out of your view. Naturally, you're going to feel some understeer, so be careful. Don't run wide and invalidate. You can see here we're using all of the track on the left and into the Vale chicane, braking just after the 100-meter board goes out of your view or just before the white line. And then into here, use all of the curb through the first part, but do not touch the sausage curbs on the exit here, and then try and take the shortest line to the finish line to maximize the time gained, and that's a lap of Silverstone. On to the setup now. We're going to start off with the aero. We're using 2.7 wings, and that's because you need to be quick on the straights, which is why we're using that low front wing, but we also need to be stable through the traction zones and the medium to high speed corners, which is why we're using that higher rear wing. For the transmission, using 50-55, which is pretty normal for most tracks because it just gives you that off-throttle stability as well as that rotation and that easy, stable traction. For the suspension geometry, using -2.5 on the front and -2 on the rear for the camber. That's because it provides the most rotation whilst also being stable because of other parts of the setup. Front and rear toe are minimum, as always, around pretty much every single track. For the suspension, experiment a lot with this, but this is generally around Silverstone where most of your rotation versus stability comes from in the setup. So we are using 1.8 suspension, 2.10 anti-roll bars, and 2.4 ride height. For the brake pressure, using 100% brake pressure and 50% brake bias, so you can brake as late as possible without locking up, and that's for every single track. And for the tire pressures, we're using minimum tire pressures because there's not really much advantage to running higher tire pressures, as it'll just increase your tire temperatures in the race and make it harder on the traction. So that's why you want to run minimum tire pressure around most tracks. That was the track guide then. If you did enjoy and learn something, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as I post F1 content 3 times per week, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.